Math 98 Exam Review, Spring 2015, Part 5. Solve geometry problems like those shown here. Find the value of x in the figure. In this figure, we have what is called a straight angle. A straight angle is 180 degrees. The sum of these two expressions must equal 180 degrees. Or, in the case of just solving the equation, we write 180. We reorder the terms so that we can combine like terms. And then we combine 5x and 4x to get 9x. Plus 20 minus 20 is 0, so we don't have to write that. And we have 180 left. Now we'll divide both sides by 9 to get x equals 20. Now this is as far as we have to go. However, if you were asked to find the measure of the angle, you would substitute the 20 into each expression. So the angles would be 5 times 20 plus 20 for the first one, and 4 times 20 minus 20 for the second one. And so that's 100 plus 20, or 120 degrees, and 80 minus 20 and 60 degrees for the second angle. Find the value of x in the figure. In this figure, these angles are called vertical angles. They are across from each other, and therefore they are equivalent or have the same measure. We set these two expressions equal to each other. 4x minus 10 equals 3x minus 1, and then we solve to find x. Subtracting 3x from both sides to get the variables on the left. 4x minus 3x minus 10 equals 3x minus 3x minus 1. Be sure you do that to both sides. Combining like terms, 4x minus 3x is 1x, or just x. Then we have a minus 10 left. 3x minus 3x is gone. It's 0, so we're left with a negative 1. Now we need to move the 10, so we'll add 10 to both sides. Negative 10 plus 10 is going to give us 0 on this side. Negative 1 plus 10 is going to give us 9 on the right. So once we simplify those, we get x on the left and 9 on the right. So the value of x in the figure is 9. You weren't asked for the angles here, but if you're asked for the angles, you would go one step farther. Substitute 9 in for each x. So 4 times 9 minus 10 for the first angle, and 3 times 9 minus 1 for the second angle. 36 minus 10 for the first angle, 3 times 9, 27 minus 1 for the second angle. And you will notice that we get 26 degrees in both cases, and that should be the case because these are vertical angles and they should have the same measure. Find the value of, this should say, of x in the figure. Find the value of, find the value of b in the figure. Find the value of b in the figure. We know this is a right triangle because of the box, and that tells us that we have to use the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem says that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we have 6 squared plus the missing side squared equals the hypotenuse squared, 10 squared. Six squared gives us 36, plus b squared equals 10 squared, 100. Subtract 36 on both sides. Again, remember to do everything to both sides when you're working with an equation. Gives us b squared equals 64. But we need to find b, so we'll use the square root property that says when a number squared, when a value or variable squared is a number, you just have the positive and negative square root of that number. So the positive and negative square root of 64 would be positive 8 and negative 8. However, we will eliminate the negative since b is describing a length here. So b is positive 8. You could check this by making sure that 6 squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared, so that you would know that your answer is b equals 8. The length of the side is 8. Now we're going to answer some questions about area and perimeter. Is area or perimeter needed to find the answer? Putting a fence around a field. Area covers the surface of a shape. Perimeter goes around the edges of a shape. Since a fence goes around the edges of a field, perimeter is needed for putting a fence around a field. Painting a wall. Area covers the surface of a shape. Perimeter goes around the edges of a shape. Since paint covers the surface of a wall, area is needed. Wrapping a present. Area covers the surface of a shape. Perimeter goes around the edges of a shape. Since wrapping paper covers the surface of a gift, area is needed. And since a gift has many sides that have to be covered with wrapping paper, you would have something called surface area, but it's area that is needed. Putting a frame around a picture. Area covers the surface of a shape. Perimeter goes around the edges of a shape. Since a frame goes around the edges of a picture, perimeter is needed.